Okay, it looks like we are live here. I don't have any preview, so bear with me. Here we go. There we go. Someone else is watching. Who's watching? Can you hear me? Can I get a comment maybe? My first time doing the live, so I want to make sure everything works. 3 viewers today. Well, that's more than I expected. How is everyone tonight? Oh, thank you for the thumbs up. Hi, Megan, Brandy. How are you this evening? Hi, Beth. Well, thank you all for joining me. We're going to give everyone a few minutes to fill in. Um, and then we'll probably start with our sort of New Year's reading, and then we'll open things up depending on where we're at with time and whatnot. This is really exciting. Like I said, it's my first live, and I've been enjoying everyone else's watching those. So we are going to start with a group reading. I'm going to do basically a card for every month here, and we'll just go from there. So. Hmm. So 2023 was a really interesting year, I think, energetically. There's definitely some aspects of some sort of big astrological things that happened, and some big transitions we saw this year. And that really did seem to echo out into all facets of life here on Earth and in the universe, from geopolitical type stuff to far more personal things, and really, really rippling through our reality. And it was certainly sort of a chaotic year. I think we saw a lot of sort of big, expansive energies rippling through and coursing their way through our lives. And this year, we're going to realize, I think, the effects of that in probably some more positive ways. A lot of it for me was kind of scary. I think for a lot of people throughout the planet and the globe. um, and everyone was really reacting, to these very intense energies, um, and these big shifts in, again, every facet of life, from societal things, politics, economy, the higher realms as well are shifting. We are getting towards the end of one sort of astrological age. Um, Depending on what astrology you follow, we're actually sort of nearing the end of the Piscean age, and around 2100 we expect to actually be starting the age of Aquarius. So things are becoming more tumultuous, and there's a lot of uncertainty this year. I think what we're seeing now is sort of things settling down, and we're getting sort of the dust is hanging in the air, but it is settling. And as it clears, we're going to see some really great things happening. It will be chaotic. Um, we're going to see a big change in a lot of our institutions and just the status quo throughout the world. And from that, some really great things I think are going to emerge. But it's very difficult to see that right now, just based on where everything is. And especially for all of us in the Northern Hemisphere as we are coming out of the winter months here. It is very difficult sometimes to maintain sort of a more hopeful outlook. But I have a lot of hope for this year, for all of us in the collective. We're seeing that growth and expansion already, I think, in the last really month already at the end of this year. So, sorry about that, everyone. We lost our stream, but we're back. And I am still sort of testing out some of this stuff. So I do have this kind of nifty little two camera setup that I've got going on. I'm hoping this is going to work well because I do intend to use it for recording readings for people, as a service and stuff. But hello, Sandy. Welcome in. It's good to see you. How are you this evening? Okay, well, I think we'll get started here. See what we get for cards today. See what our new year is going to hold for us here. We'll just go month by month. I hope I can fit them all here on my tiny little desk, but we'll find out. It might be another upgrade pretty soon here. So, one moment. I just want to check and make sure that audio is working. Okay, good. Okay. Some more viewers in. Thank you for joining us. I think we will get started here. Okay, let's see what we get. So we have beginning of the year for January, we've got our Three of Pentacles, Queen of Swords moving into February. And as March begins, we get the Emperor. That's exciting. For April, the Eight of Swords. May continues with more swords for us. A lot of communication and intellectual thought here going into the spring. It's really interesting. Oh, and the Lovers as well. So maybe some new romance and connections for us. But we'll go through it all once we get them all out. Going into July, we get Page of Cups. Actually, we're gonna go let's face up. August with more swords. During into fall, we begin the fall with the Knight of Pentacles. Oh, and more prosperity and abundance with the Eight of Pentacles. Five of Swords. And that will conclude the year. Okay. Well, we have a really exciting year here, I think. It's going to be interesting. So we begin this new month here, new year, January. We have our Three of Pentacles or Three of Coins. And the Three of Coins is really about really both seeking instruction but also teaching. So it kind of goes both ways, really. This idea that in order to learn, we have to sort of teach. And that's something that I've really stepped into in the last year or so. This realization that, even if we're not experts necessarily, or, masters of a certain subject, that we do have a lot to offer to people in terms of helping them and sharing our knowledge and experiences with them. Because we all have a unique take on this. So joining the Side Chicks Collective is, for me, is a sort of big realization of that, because as I joined the group, it's kind of intimidating to see everyone posting all their offers and all their different healing modalities and practices, and especially sharing a lot of their success stories. And I had a lot of sort of comparison type things creep in, as far as feeling like, well, maybe I can't do this, or, I don't have these sort of um, definite results that I can sort of share as of yet, especially in sort of the online space of offerings. Um, but I have been doing this for a while, so I've had some really profound experiences with in-person readings in the local area and whatnot. Um, and I think that's a really good reminder here as we begin the year, as we set our intentions for the year. We begin our new our new plan, and moving forward, we can very quickly get wrapped up in that idea of what can I really offer when we have all these other wonderful people here with their wonderful offerings and things to share. We can get kind of intimidated by that, but the universe is here to remind us that we have the ability to really help others. Again, even if we don't feel like we're these sort of expert masters of a specific thing, that we all have a lot to offer, and that we actually learn and grow more skillful by teaching and sharing our experiences with others. So I think that's a really sort of nice start to the year. It also, I think, takes away a little bit of the urgency sometimes we have coming out of the holidays. The sense of, I need to have my plan ready. It's not even the 1st of January yet, but, I need to sort of hit the ground running, especially as we come out of the winter. So, and I see, and that's always a great intention, just to, sort of get through. But even when we're in that sort of space, I think we have, I think there's a lot more coming for all of us. So, I totally feel that as far as sort of, what Becky's sort of expressing there. Um, and again, this past year was really a very sort of chaotic year for a lot of us. So, and really in the whole collective. So I totally feel that. Um, and so again, I think the card here, I think we get this idea that we can take some time here. That it isn't so much about having to have our plan up and going and the ball rolling by the end of this week, but take the time to learn and also think about what you're really sharing with others and what you can offer to people, and let that sort of guide your intentions and plans as you go forward into this year. I think that really can help all of us, and it does take a little bit of that pressure off to sort of have everything all figured out before we even really start the year. So I think that's a really good one to start with. And we then move into February, and in February we have our Queen of Swords. So the Queen of Swords is a master of communication and influence in a very compassionate and nurturing way. And so I think this really fits with our first card and sort of the first message, as a reminder to really stay with our need and our drive to help others, to be of service. Um, and as we sort of expand our influence and start to look out into the world, and we begin this year, I think we really we can get wrapped up in, again, sort of the doing of things, but also this feeling of, I know this happens to me, where I get sort of this feeling of like, there is a need to sort of have influence to communicate with people, and I tend to pull back from that sometimes because I get really wrapped up in, am I really doing the best for others? Am I asking too much of others by communicating these needs, or communicating my ideas to others, and is that a burden to them? And this is a great reminder that even if we are influential, even if we are skillful communicators, that we have the ability to do this with compassion and love, and caring for others. And to me, that's a big part of the Queen of Swords here, is that she is able to deal with conflicts and influence in a very kind and loving way, as we might expect from a great queen. So that's a great part of, I think, February. And then in March, sort of almost the other piece of this in a more major way comes with the emperor. So as we move forward with these things, I think we're all going to start stepping into a more of a sense of some sense of success, and from that comes a sense of capability, and the capacity to manage sort of a bigger, more complex system in terms of what we're doing in our lives, whether that's our family systems. Also, for those of us who are in business, our businesses, and that expansive energy that we're carrying forward from the year before, from 2023. And we're all going to start to step into, I think, a strong feeling of, we can manage all this. It does seem like a lot, especially as the ball gets rolling here, but that we really all have the ability to manage all these many moving parts, and in a way that we remain strong, that isn't crippling us, in terms of just being all over the place and being overextended. Because again, that can also be a big thing that creeps in, and especially as sort of the cabin fever of the early spring sets in. Looking on to April, and this is interesting here. I think of April, and I always think of the old, April showers and brings May flowers type thing. And so it's interesting that we have a card. We have the swords here, and the swords are certainly the element of air. But in this card, we do see, in the picture especially, we do see, she's sort of standing amongst this little bit of sort of stream that might be dried up or is just starting to form. And I think that kind of fits the April showers. Sort of the continued nurturing is there, but we might find ourselves getting impatient. So the woman in this picture, she's blindfolded. She is not aware of, or can't see, sort of what is going on around her. In this case, I think we're starting to see the river flow. We're starting to see our labors start to bear the buds of what will eventually be the fruits of prosperity, and all the things that we wish to achieve and manifest in the world. Not just physical things like wealth and abundance, but really all of the things that we're trying to nurture. And as we head into the spring, again, it's sort of the cabin fever thing. We can get impatient. And so I think this is a message of us, a reminder not to lose sight of the fact that things are starting to sprout and grow, that we are these effective communicators, that we have knowledge and skills. But in April, we might start to see a little bit of doubt and impatience creep in there. And so that's a great reminder to be on the lookout for that, as we kind of want things to get going, especially as we came from the previous month feeling somewhat accomplished and like we're really starting to get a handle on things. And then that will roll over into May, and we see here again more of the, again, very interesting. We have basically an air card, but again, there's a lot of sort of water in the picture, and so this is about a further sense of discernment, the ability to weigh one's thoughts and logical processes, and consideration about things against our feelings and intuition. And that can be always a very difficult thing to balance, especially for those of us who are in this more, are on this sort of spiritual path. It's very easy to either feel really trapped in the sort of the mundane, um, physical kind of world, the Muggle world, if you're a Harry Potter fan, or and then just desiring to sort of just be in spirit, in, just sort of lost in the ether and have our heads in the clouds, because it's such a wonderful contrast to the daily grind of again, of mundane life. And this is a great reminder that we have the ability to discern these things, and that ultimately part of living a spiritual life, isn't just sort of living, in the ether, with spirit, but it's really having one foot in both worlds. And so that, we do have to remain grounded, but we do also have to remain connected to source. And when we're able to balance those things, we really are going to be the happiest, and the most aligned in our actions. That gives way to our June card, and June is the lovers, and I have some personal connections with the month and the card as well. Um, And the lovers are certainly the card of love and romance, but also really about sort of duality. And again, the idea of having a foot in each world. So being able to move seamlessly between, sort of spirit and the physical world, to remain present and aware throughout the day, throughout the week, as we deal with our daily struggles and the things that we kind of get dragged down in. And the more formless sort of, with the spirit, our heads in the clouds a bit. And that we really, in June, I think we're going to see ourselves stepping into that and really feeling like we have, sort of the real ability to move between those worlds seamlessly. And in doing so, we really are unifying sort of those two halves of ourselves, the duality of things. And that is a huge step in sort of, I think, any sort of spiritual path, regardless of what you feel like your path might be. So this is a huge bit of achievement here halfway through the year. And it's a big sort of spiritual one. It's beyond just, again, like success in your business or career, or obtaining, even, finding a new relationship or romance, although I think that's going to be strong for a lot of people who are sort of in that, phase and mode in their life this year. So if you are someone who is looking, is actively looking and seeking a relationship, I think probably you will see that come to fruition, in the middle of the summer in June. And also, June is the month of Gemini. So again, the duality, here is just really strong, and in a beautiful way, in a really like helpful and, powerful way. Yeah, Brandy, absolutely. So I know that's a long ways away, but, we have a lot to look forward here, as we get halfway through the year. And then moving into July and into the middle of the summer, as we get to the dog days of summer, if you will. Um, Page of Cups is really an interesting one. This also implies a new person in your life. Um, I think it also implies some new sort of peaceful, very content sort of vibrations. The lovers being a very sort of ecstatic thing, and more passionate, and we'll see the passion from that sort of settling in, to a realization of a more of a sense of peace for all of us. Whether we found a new lover or not in June, again, that sort of spiritual breakthrough, that sort of unification of duality, is going to lead to a very, like a new sense of peace. Um, and may also lead us to finding some new friends and other relationships that aren't necessarily romantic. But as we are sort of glowing from the previous month, I think we see ourselves attracting a lot of new, really sort of awesome things into our lives. And again, some probably much needed peace of mind and clarity to carry us through for the rest of the year. Then moving into August, we also see a further progression of influence. So there's a lot of the expansion we're seeing. The pattern of this for the year for us is in relationships. Again, not just the romantic ones, but um, co-worker relationships, business relationships, family, friends, and growing influence. And with the King of Swords, we see ourselves sort of progressing even further into a more solidified network of folks around us. um, and that's not to say that the Queen of Swords wasn't powerful in that, but I think we're gaining an even greater sense of I have my tribe sort of put together, and I have everything I need here to really propel myself forward through the rest of the year. Because typically, as we get towards the end of the summer and into the fall, that's when we're really looking sort of to harvest the bounty of our labors. So for folks in business, especially, that's always we get into sort of crunch time for selling, whatever you're offering. But school year, all of it. So we see as we're approaching the fall that we're gonna really head into that with feeling like we really have all our people. Uh, Thank you, Kate, about the setup, and I'm actually going to eventually offer some instruction on how to sort of do this. It's really not that complicated, but I know we're not all the most tech savvy. Oh, and hello, Kia, as well. Um, Sorry for getting a little off track. I'm still getting used to sort of juggling comments and doing the readings and whatnot. But thank you all for coming in. Um, it's awesome to have 10 viewers here today. I didn't think anyone would show up. So, but to bring us back into August and sort of getting ready for, um, July, and then heading into, getting sort of through the summer, our influence and our network of people is really building here, and into something quite powerful, um, and something that really can allow all of us to really do some great things in the world and have the impact that we're really hoping to have. I think as people who are very as spiritual people, where I think we're really going to make some waves this year in a really beautiful way. And then we really are just seeing we have a lot of court cards here. And the court cards are awesome because they really are sort of the fruition of different aspects of uh, of life. So bringing us around more to the physical things, we're going to have a great sense of sort of renewal. I think the end of the summer in August is going to really start to see the the bounty, sort of the harvest, if you will, start to come in monetarily, but also just in terms of our feelings of physical health. That's a big one with Pentacles as well. And um, it's going to happen quickly. It might even take us a bit by surprise where we get into the doldrums of the summer. And even though we're feeling good with our network of people and what we've established and found, when's this really going to happen? When's it really going to start kicking off? So we really are seeing like this wonderful buildup this year into like this really big explosion of prosperity in every sense. Again, not just wealth and physical goods or money, although I see those things coming as well. But the prosperity of our hearts, the prosperity of our spiritual selves, and the people we collect around us, the lives we engage with, and even just the prosperity of the earth we live on too. So there's a big momentum here coming, and it's quite profound. And I think it's going to be a really explosive summer in a much nicer way, I think, than it was this last year. And then that continues into the beginning of the fall. So we have this sort of the kicking off of the sort of the reaping of what we've sown at this point. The our crops are coming in, and there is quite a bit of work to be done in September as we get into the fall, as often there is for many of us. But we are going to be excited and healthy and feel really good about this. And to me, that's always, the sort of the Eight of Coins, the Eight of Pentacles is always a big, big sign for that, of a sense of accomplishment and ability. He has all this work to do, but it's not a burden. It's not a source of anxiety or feeling overwhelmed. It is a source of joy and a feeling of fulfillment that we have put ourselves in this position to be doing something that really is what we're supposed to be doing, that really fulfills us as human beings, not just in a sense of making a living and surviving. So there's going to be a lot of work and a lot of awesome moving forward going into September. And then as we get into October and things get cooler and leaves change, I think we may see a little bit of a bump in the road. Not so much in terms of, again, sort of the physical manifestations of what's going on, but our minds can sort of creep in a bit, and we can start to get a little bit of a sense of, is this really happening? Um, did I, what did I actually do here? Because we're going to have a lot of this success, and there's going to be a lot going on. And sometimes we can have these more subconscious ideas that maybe we don't really deserve this, or when is it going to sort of, when's the other shoe going to drop? In other words, when is this going to sort of be taken away from us? And that's a big piece of the Five of Swords here. That's really, to me, what this card always signals. Um, we see this in the picture, and I'm a big fan of, I read a lot into the actual images in tarot, and I encourage others to do so as well. It takes away a lot of the memorization that we feel like we have to do when we engage with tarot cards. And I know people who do like other Oracle style card reading. I think that's probably a lot of what pulls them into it. So we see here, this man, seems to have sort of won victory, but also things have been left behind. So they may be holding these swords. They seem to have defeated these other figures in the back. It looks like they're in this arena almost. But there's these couple of swords sort of left behind. And so we may get a bit of a sense, our mind will sort of play tricks with us, that having enjoyed this abundance and really seeing our manifestations come to be and come into our experience, that we may have sort of these moments of, again, like, I don't want to enjoy this too much, or it's too good to be true, and us sort of looking back over our shoulders. And this is a really important reminder not to give in to that, that the things that the universe has brought to us, and especially the good things, are ours to have, that we do deserve them just by the virtue of fact that we were put here by the universe. We are fulfilling our purpose, and we do deserve to have the things that we desire and set out to do, so long as we do so with alignment with, from a sense of higher purpose, that we're not just chasing things for the most sort of base and material reasons. So we do want to keep that in mind when those sort of limiting things start to creep up, because they will. They always seem to. And we'll struggle with that a bit as we go through October, but as we get into the end of the month, um, I may have gotten off a month here, honestly. Let's see. So actually, I'm sorry. I got my months a little mixed up here. So that's October, but really this is the November card. So we go through the fall, the early fall here, with that sort of abundance racing in. And especially, and I think in November, it seems even more likely, because the days get shorter, and, things sort of, the beauty of the world around us starts to fade a bit. And so again, this is sort of the gray skies creeping in, especially you live up in the northern climates. Um, that's going to creep in. But again, a reminder not to give in to that, to really take stock of what you've achieved and know that that is a beautiful thing, and have no real regrets or doubts about it. And the final card here, and we're going to end the year, is Judgment. So Judgment really plays into the previous sort of Five of Swords, where sort of our mind has sort of started to play a few tricks on us and maybe tell us that we're not worthy of these great things that we've achieved throughout the year. But if we resist that, if we stay true to our intuition, we listen to our hearts, and we continue to engage in grounding and caring for ourselves as well as the people around us, we will emerge from that being confident that we have the ability to discern these things. Um, so for me, judgment isn't just about sort of the biblical sense of judgment, or not necessarily just resurrection, um, but it is sort of the final card. It is the final card or one of the last cards in the major arcana. Um, and so it does depict a transcendence, a true, genuine transformation of ourselves. Um, and we're really going to have sort of a moment of epiphany, I think, in the month of December at the end of the year, when we look back and we see that we have really transformed ourselves. We've transformed some really big sort of limiting beliefs and really stepped into a lot of our power. And again, not necessarily power from a iron fist sort of standpoint, but just our own abilities, um, and skills and unique understanding and unique offerings to the world around us. And I think we're going to end this year, this new year, really feeling like we are sort of the masters of our realities in a way that I don't know that we began this year with. Again, sort of looking back at last year is very sort of tumultuous. Um, yeah, and Becky, I'm a little behind on the comments, so I think that you might be talking about the Five of Swords, perhaps the guy walking, looking over his shoulder. I'd be curious if you do want to answer. So Judgment is a really great card to end the year with. It really shows us sort of all of the different parts of our lives coming into alignment, and all the different sort of achievements and things that we've enjoyed, feeling like they're all part of a whole. And that is a very transcendental experience. It's a very transformational thing. So I see a lot of great things for us for the year here. And there will be some hiccups, but I think overall it's going to feel like a much better year for us than maybe 2023 did for a lot of us. And I see a lot of just really great things. I can't see that enough here. Um, I hope that a year from now we'll be sitting here and doing this and thinking back, and you can critique my reading and tell me remind me if I was accurate or if I was way off. But yeah, that's our year in review. So I hope hope that provided some insight for everyone. And if anyone has any questions about this reading, or some of the things that I was talking about, I'd be happy to field those. And then depending on the time, we might field some individual readings, although I am feeling a little strained today. It was kind of a long day, so I might have to put off the personal readings this time. But I hope the reading this was very helpful for everyone. Um, so yeah, please just, click a like or send me a comment if you enjoyed this. I do hope to start doing these lives every Monday, probably around this time, as this is sort of right now, given my regular sort of day job, where I can sort of fit in a regular live. And I hope to sort of do maybe like a smaller reading for the week for everyone who wants to join. um, and and then hopefully also actually do some individual readings, like mini readings for folks on the live. Um, I don't think I'm actually gonna offer those today. So if you did want to get a personal reading, I do apologize, for that today. But um, thank you for the great compliments, and this will be archived. Hopefully, the thing doesn't screw up, and we'll have this in the archives for you to watch and review too. So, thank you, Carrie and Brandy and Becky and everyone else who's in the live tonight. Um, and you can always reach out to me personally too. Send me a DM if you have questions about anything. And I will, in the next month or so, I will be set up to be offering readings and other type of tarot related services and offers to everyone as well. So please also keep a lookout for those. I'll be announcing those in the group. But if you ever have any questions about anything tarot, esoteric, mysticism, I love all of it. I could talk about all of it for days. So don't ever hesitate to send me a DM about any of it, and I'm always happy to answer. Um, so thank you so much for the compliments as well. And I think we'll probably just wrap it up here because I'll just keep babbling. So thank you all so very much. Uh, Everyone have a wonderful year, a wonderful week, and I will talk to you all very soon. Thank you.